and he could hear bones breaking. He stays up there in the loft all night long. He has to cover his ears, and I could hear him breathing right at the back of my neck. I've been here for decades now, walking these hills, unable to leave. I was sent by the U.S. Steel Company from Pennsylvania. Left a wife, children at home. When this was not here. I remember when this was nothing but pristine landscape, nothing but forest, nothing but animals. Very few people even lived here. I remember. I was sent by the U.S. Steel Company from Pennsylvania. Left a wife, children at home, and I was here to try to survey what was here. Could you actually find any kind of coal, anything produced to extract from Appalachia that we could use to build the country? I did. I found that. Lots and lots of coal. I also found other things up in these mountains. I am not sure what I saw on many occasions, but I would walk up and down these mountains, up and down these pristine mountains, up and down these hills, and absolutely be enamored with what I found. I found all kinds of things, like especially at night. This one night I was out surveying a bunch of areas right over there to the east of us. I got a little turned around at night. It was about 10 miles that I had walked that day, and I turned around to kind of try to find my way back to my camp, and I started seeing lights all over the mountainside. I knew there wasn't people up there, but I started seeing lights walking back and forth. I would see this on numerous occasions. I also found let's say it's a creature that the locals around here called him the big feller. He would walk around these mountains, and every now and then I'd catch a glimpse out of the corner of my eye trying to see what he was or who he was. All I knew, he's a dark figure. But one night, as I was sitting near the campfire, I was writing in my diary what all I had seen that day. And I heard twigs crack behind me. As I'm sitting there, I hear a very big gruff behind me. And I could hear him breathing right at the back of my neck. I sat there frozen, unable to know what was behind me. But I know it was that big fella that the locals keep talking about. I heard him slowly back away, and that was my last encounter with the big fella. Also, I was here when all of this was pristine, and I felt heartache that I knew what the U.S. Steel Company was going to come and do. They were going to extract that resource, and they were going to turn this place into something mechanized, into civilization, when it was nothing but wilderness before me, before them, before all of us. I felt grieved at that. Something should be done, but this is my job, was to come out and survey all of this area and try to find what's the best course of action in order to extract this coal from these mountains. A few other things I saw, besides lights and the big fella. I've been here for decades now, walking these hills, unable to leave, but I've seen things. I've also seen where a young man who was wrongfully convicted of a crime, he was murdered by the family of the girl that he said he had wronged. Her brothers cut off his ears and set him on fire, set him ablaze, and left him to die on the mountainside. People today can walk up on these mountains and still find a young man rifling through the leaves, trying to find his ears. There's also a gentleman that came through here way before many people lived here. He came over these mountains, and him and his friend find a cabin. Inside of that cabin, the only thing there is a stove, a firewood stove. Him and his friend build a fire in that stove, and the gentleman goes up to the loft. The loft is going to be where the heat rises, and he's going to be able to be warm all night. But his friend sleeps with the door open. That way, he can be a little bit cooled down. He's very hot-natured. During the night, that gentleman hears the most loud roaring he's ever heard his entire life. And then he hears his friend scream, and he can hear bones breaking. He stays up there in the loft all night long. He has to cover his ears when the roars start because it will bust his eardrum. But finally, day breaks. And whatever was there has left. He gets down, he finds blood all over the walls, he finds pieces of his friend's clothing, but he finds nothing else. He goes further into the woods, further over these mountains, and he comes to a home. At the front of that home are two large dogs. Stood about this high. They were connected to that porch with logging chains. He asked the man that lives there, "Can I please stay the night with you tonight?" He says, "Sure." They start eating dinner, and as they're eating dinner, he asks the old man, "What was that last night?" He says, "Those were lions." He said, "If I didn't have these two dogs out here in front of my house, they'd come and get me as well." That gentleman laid in bed all night long, listening to the roar of those lions. There's other things in these mountains that I am not even prepared to tell you about. But a few occasions, you'll actually find the spirits of Civil War soldiers who had marched up and down these valleys. On one occasion, there's this man in law enforcement. There was people making moonshine up in these mountains. This law enforcement agent went into the mountains to find the moonshine stills, went up Straight Creek, and never was found again. His wife come down to this area all the way from Michigan to find her husband. She walked up and down Straight Creek every day trying to find his body. The last time that someone had seen him was up that creek. Eventually, she passes away while she's walking. She has worked herself to death, stressed over the love of her husband. Now, if you go up Straight Creek today, you will see that white apparition of that lady walking up and down Straight Creek, still trying to find her husband after all these years. I don't know why I'm here, but I have a theory. I've been doing this for decades, walking up and down these mountains, but I think I know why. When I surveyed this area, the steel company came in, started extracting all these resources, destroying the nature that's around here. And these mountains, they are alive. They are not some inanimate object. They are living, they are breathing, and they may not like that we're here, what they've done to us, or what we've done to them. We've corrupted ourselves. And so, when many of these bodies decay like mine has, all that's left is the spirit. And those spirits still roam these mountains. It's like they're holding these people in, holding these spirits in, holding the earthly soul in, but the body decays. These mountains are much stronger than you could ever imagine. And so when you go out to these mountains again, see if you can hear those lions roar. See if you can hear the hot breath of the big feller as he walks through. And also look and see if you can see the lights as they meander through these mountainsides. Because then you will fully appreciate these mountains and understand that there's more out there than you have ever imagined could be.
Those stories you just heard was told by
Dr. Lucas Wilder. I'm a born Appalachian American, born in Lee County, Virginia, not too far away from right here. And I love sharing the history of Appalachia as well as its cultural richness, because Appalachia is such a wonderful place. I try to share it with as many people as possible. It's truly one of the greatest places on earth to live. And if you care to, check out my YouTube channel, History Don Wilder, and it's got a lot of history videos on there. My PhD is American Civil War history, so you see a lot of history videos on the American Civil War, but also just some good general history on the U.S. history as well.
You can click the link that should be appearing somewhere around that street light, folks, if I get it right when I edit this video, and go right to his channel.
Thank you very much.
So, hey, we appreciate you. That's incredible. Really loved it.
I'm glad.